Okay, everyone. So we're out here. It's just past mid-November now, 23rd, I think, 2023. This is my fruit area. So that's going to be the focus of today's video. I'm just going to be pruning everything back. I've got the black currants, the gooseberries, and some other things, blackberries, all my fruit trees there. So it's just a case of tidying everything up, getting everything pruned. Now that all the leaves have come off, it's perfect time. Right, so it's got wind today, so I hope there's no wind noise in this video. So these are my currants. So as you can see, these lighter bits here are what's grown this year. And last year I only pruned it back to there, so this year I'm going to prune it back quite a bit more than I did last year. Trying to keep it open goblet shape. Trying to keep the middle free, as you can see there. Now I've had this bush here. Actually, these three, but that middle one's a gooseberry. This one's another currant bush. I've had these probably about 5, 6, maybe a few more actually, maybe 7 years. You can see that one grew a lot more last year. All this lighter coloured stuff is what grew this year. And you can see the cut I made there last year. So that's all grew this year. So what I want to do is cut these back quite severely. And the same with the gooseberry, although not quite as severely as the other one. I just want to make them more compact sort of size, obviously because they're in containers. I can't just let them grow like I would if they were in the ground, because there's only so many roots that will fit in the container. And I've also got a raspberry bush there, raspberry canes. Now I've already pruned them, so all I've done is cut out all but 5 I think I've left this year, and cut out all the rest because the fruit on these grows on last year's wood. So this wood that's here, that's grew this year, will have next year's fruit. And I've got a thornless blackberry here, which has gone a bit crazy. It was growing over the arch there, but I'll bring it over here, just because I want to keep all my fruit bushes together. So you can see how much that's grown this year. Meters and meters of it. And the end where it touched the ground actually started rooting in. So if I wanted to, and I might do just as an experiment, I could chop that off and plant it up. Same with the other end, if I can find where it went. This end here also has roots on it as well where it touched the ground. So they're easy to propagate. Anything that touches the ground will root like this. And then you can just plant that and chop it off. Say leave about a foot or so of growth and then just chop the rest off. There's another shoot there coming off. So if that touched the ground, which it looks like it did, but not too long ago, that'll root. And the next one along is a wineberry, Japanese wineberry, which is a bit like a cross between a raspberry and a blackberry. So I'm just going to prune these long shoots, prune it back to make it more compact. You can see that's where this year's fruit was. So that tends to die off, and then the ones that grew this year will fruit next year. Very similar to the raspberry. You just got to be very careful because it's so spiky. So I'll cut that back a bit, cut out the dead stuff. And my fruit trees here, obviously I can't prune the stoned fruit like plums and cherries because you have to do that in the summer. So I've kind of missed the boat on that, but I'll just prune them next year. See how big that plum tree's got now. It's gone all the way up there, it's about 10 foot tall. And what my plan is to grow these sideways, so I might put some wire on them or something, try and bend them out sideways, just so that it's not a really tall tree, it's like a wide bush, so that I can harvest the fruit easier. That's the cherry tree there. Again, I can't prune that at the moment because it's a stone fruit, and you've got to prune them in the summer so that they can heal quickly. If I pruned it now, it would leave an open wound throughout the winter, which all sorts of diseases can get in. Everything else is fine to prune now. The apples, pears. Don't really need much pruning on this apple. This was relatively new anyway. But what I might do is just try and shape it a bit so that it grows out sideways rather than straight up. The little blueberry tree, this was a new addition this year. I'm just going to leave because I want it to grow. So it's done a lot of growth this year. It was a tiny little stick when I bought it. That's a goji berry there, this one. If you remember, if you watch my videos, this was completely infested with ants during the height of summer, so I had to tip it out of the pot, get all the ants out, and it kind of died off. But it did recover nicely. You can see where it grew from there, and all this grew this year. It's actually still got a couple of leaves on it. So I'll just give that a real light prune just to cut it back a bit. And the same with the pear tree. Okay, sorry about that guys, the delivery guy showed up. I just had to take some parcels in. But anyway, what I've got growing on the greenhouse here, that's a raspberry cane there. That was just a one I've yanked out from that pot of raspberries. Happened to have some roots on it, so stuck that in, and that's grown loads this year. So that doesn't really need pruning. In fact, I think I might have already pruned it at some point, or something's chewed the top off. That doesn't look like a cut. So that's fine. And the grapevine, I've got 2 grapevines there. I've got this big thick one that my mum and dad gave me, and it's recovered nicely. I had to cut it back really severely and put it in a new pot and that. But all this has grown this year. So all I do with the grapevines is anything that's thick like this I'll leave and cut off any thin bits. Basically pencil thickness or more I'm going to keep. Everything else is going. Same with that grapevine there. This is a Chardonnay white grape. I've had this for a few years. It's getting nice and thick down there. I'm not sure what sort of style this is. I just tend to let 2 main branches grow and trim it back every year again to pencil thickness. So all this thin stuff will be going. And I've got a kiwi vine which I've had a few years. Still hasn't given me any kiwis, but it's getting nice and thick now. So every year I'm hoping that it will. So I've got 3 main shoots that come off. Well, 2 really, but that one's split off. And you can see how thick it's getting even up here. So again with this, I'm just going to cut off some of this thinner, straggly stuff. I might actually try and leave a bit more this year, just in case that's where it flowers. If it flowers on this year's growth, then obviously every year I've been cutting it off. So I'll leave a bit more this year just to see how it goes. And that is every fruit thing I've got at the moment. Obviously everything else is all trees and stuff. That's a pine tree. So this is my little fruit area. Container grown fruit. Everything's in containers because we're in a rented property. I don't really want to plant too much in the ground because I'll probably just have to dig it up again. Anyway, I'll make a start on pruning these. Okay, so with the currant bushes, always try and keep the middle clear. So I don't know if you can see me, there's a bit of a funny angle there, but anything that grows up through the middle, like this one here, just cut it off, cut it right back to the main trunk. You can use these as cuttings, by the way. some rooting hormone on the end there. Pop that in. Even if you didn't use rooting hormone, chances are that it will take, but I don't need any more, so they're going. And everything else I'm going to take work. Normally I would do a third. The recommended is a third, but I'm going to go for more like half this year. So all these long ones, I'm cutting back by at least half because I want this bush to be really compact. What I normally do is try and leave buds facing outwards, just so they don't grow back into the middle of the bush. And all these little spindly bits you can cut off, or you can just leave them. Then most likely they'll die off anyway over winter. And any spindly shoots that come up from the bottom, I take them off as well. So if you've got a currant bush and it's in the ground, you don't need to cut off so much. This is what I'm doing, because this is a container grown one. But just try and find a nice bud. Don't cut it too close to the bud. You want to leave a little bit. I'll try and show you. So, see there's a bud there. I've just left a little sort of half a centimetre or so just above it. Don't cut too close because it might die. It'll die back past that bud. So these little spindly bits, you can trim them off, cut them off completely, or you can leave them. You can see if they're dead, like this one. That's completely dead. This one here is alive, so you can leave that. I can leave these ones. Just cut them back a bit. Just always cut it back to a bud that's facing the direction that you want it to carry on growing. And I'm not too fussed about how I cut it. Some people like cut it at funny angles, and some people say cut it flat. Don't see that it makes much difference, to be honest. So that's that. I won't show you all the. It's going to be the same process for the other currant bushes as well. There's a sucker coming up from there. We can cut that back a bit because we can leave them, because like these thinner ones, they'll help to fill it in. These will all grow next year, so that's that one done. It looks quite severe, but in the long term it'll be better for this bush to be cut like this. Because it's in a pot, I don't want the roots to have to work too hard. Okay, so that's that one. I'll bring you in closer and show you, and then I'll crack on and do some of the other ones off camera. Okay, so that's that currant bush done. So the middle is completely clear. I've left these new shoots that come up this year because that will fill in that gap there. And these little ones, if they look alive, you can leave them. If they look dead, you can cut them off. Or even if you just cut them all off, it'll be fine. You leave them on. Most likely, most of them will die off anyway. So I'm going to do gooseberry. Same sort of thing, try and keep the middle clear. And then the same with that one. Look how much that's grown this year. So I'll get that done and I'll show you afterwards. Right, so that's the currant and the gooseberry pruned. So I haven't been so severe with the gooseberry, but I've cleared out everything. I should be able to put my hand right down to the middle. So it's like a goblet or bowl. and I've left it more open at the front here. And this one, I've been quite severe. So again, you can see the goblet shape, the hand sort of shape. And this was a new branch here, which I let grow, because I did have a bit of it die off a couple of years ago. There was another major branch there, like one of these. So this is second year wood. That's a new branch growing out there to replace that. And you can see where when I've pruned it, I've left these buds pointing the direction that I want the new stuff to come out. Like with these ones. So I want it to grow out this way rather than inwards. That one's fine because that'll fill in a gap there. That one will go out that way. They'll come out this way. Sideways buds. So that's them done. So next I'm going to do the grapevines. Like I said, I'm just going to prune them back to pencil thickness. So all I would do is take off anything up to about there. So there's a bud under there. I won't go too close to it. And I like to leave a little stump after the bud, just in case it dies off. And that means it won't go past that bud. But if you get it too close, it could die past the bud to the next bud. So again, with this one, to about there, and that bit can go as well. That's this year's growth. So you get the general idea. This whole bit here will probably come off as well. Maybe up to about there. And I'll do the same with the other grapevine and the kiwi. But I'm going to leave a bit more on the kiwi. Okay, so that's the grapevine and the kiwi done. Grapevines. So that's all I'm going to leave. And this one I've cut back to there, because obviously it's a lot smaller. Just be sure to leave some buds, although it will bud back from older wood. And the kiwi, normally I'll cut it back a lot more than that. You can see last year I cut it back to there, and this all grew this year, and that entire branch grew this year. So I've got a feeling it might grow the fruits on last year's growth, so I've left a good amount with plenty of buds, just in case that's where the flowers come from, because I don't really know with the kiwi. And obviously the blueberry I'm not going to prune, because that's new. The goji berry I've just cut back really lightly, just cut off all the straggly ends, just back to there. Left that as it is. Now I've decided I'm not going to prune the apple this year, because again that was new, so it's not got too big yet. What I could do is just prune the top off, just to encourage it not to get too tall. So, and same with the pear. I'm just going to let that grow, but I will take the top out. See, this is the main. See if you can see. This is the main leading shoot. If I leave it, it's just going to get really tall. So, I'll just cut that off for now. And I want these side branches to grow. I don't want it to grow up. I want it to grow outwards. So I've been and bought some really thick wire. So I'm thinking I could, because I'm getting into bonsai now, I'm thinking I can shape my fruit trees. So I can bend these branches so that they're vertical, grow it. I can't remember what that style is called, but they do use that for growing fruit trees. It's like It's something Espalia, I think. Don't know. And obviously, like I said, the plum and cherry I'm going to have to leave. You can see this branch here shot up, and it's actually competing with the leader now. So we'll have to try and sort that out a bit next year. I'll maybe grow these out sideways as well. The same with the cherry tree. That's actually not too bad. I think I might have pruned that earlier on in the year. Yes, I did. So that's already been pruned at some point. And I kind of do it as and when. And with these, that's the one of the blackberries. You see how long that grew this year. It must be about 4 or 5 meters of growth. So I'm going to take it right back. Just get rid of it. And I'll leave a few buds. Hopefully you can see what I'm up to. Leave a few buds you can see there and there. Leave a few on that one as well. Maybe go to there. And then get rid of that. Sorry for the dodgy camera, guys. So that's all I'll do with that. We'll just leave that like that. And it'll all regrow next year. And I can make new plants out of these, like I said. Might plant these in the ground somewhere. But I've got 2 rooted end bits with that. So all I'll do to plant that is cut it off somewhere up there. And just plant that. Stick it straight in the ground somewhere. I'll leave it on there for now. Just in case I forget about it, and then it'll root back in there. And there was another end with roots on that I saw earlier. There. Oop, there. So I'll do the same with that one. Just cut it off. Make sure you leave some growth and some buds. And I'll just bury them under there, just heel them in. That's the term anyway. Obviously I'm not using my heel, I'm using my palm, so they'll be fine there until I get around to actually planting them somewhere. And if I buried a bit of these somewhere, they'd probably just root anyway. Obviously it's essentially it's a weed in the UK, this stuff, but this is a special thornless variety, which is great because the thorns on them are horrible. So I can go over there. I'll probably end up taking over that bush or something. And I've got one more to prune, which is the Japanese wineberry. So again, you see all the red stuff's what grew this year. The brown stuff's what fruited this year, which grew last year. So the brown stuff's going completely. And the red stuff, I'm just going to prune back a bit. Get rid of that. I don't want to touch it because it's got these horrible spikes on it. So I'll just cut this bit back here. See the nice bud there. And then this bit I'll just cut back a little bit. And I'll leave the rest. So that's all my fruit pruned. Hopefully you actually found that useful and not boring as hell. But I'll keep you updated on all my fruit area. This is my little container fruit garden as such. What I'll probably do is just move these over, put it all into that square, and they can just stay there for the whole winter. And they're a bit sheltered from the greenhouse, so I'm sure they'll be perfectly fine. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. just a quick add-on to that video. I've just pulled these out and I'm just going to put them in these little pots. So I won't even worry about burying any buds or anything. Normally, with most things, you would remove the bottom buds, etc. But it really doesn't matter with the blackberries. So I just plant them in these little pots, and I'm sure they'll be perfectly fine. And then I'll have 2 more new plants come next year, and I can give them away, sell them, plant them somewhere else. All we've got to do is top the soil up a bit more. So I thought I'd just show you that quickly. It's really simple to propagate blackberries and stuff like that, obviously. Anyway, that's that. Okay, everyone, so that's all that done. And I've potted up them couple of blackberry plants. And I've moved them currants and that back there, you can see behind me. So they're all settled in for the winter. So if you've got any questions or comments, just feel free to leave them down below. And don't forget to like the video if you liked it. And if you want to be notified of new uploads that I do and stuff, don't forget to subscribe. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you made it this far, thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Hope you all have a great week. See you later.